Hello, family. It's me, Mama Lena, back again. I wanted to come on here, and this is a very important video. I mean, it is so important. It's called Get in Code. And what I want you to do when I talk about this, I want you to have a pencil and paper ready. I don't know if you are familiar with these names, but I'm going to give some names of some people that I think are very important for you to get on YouTube and watch. Now you have to remember, we don't own a television network, and we don't really have a central focus for what our community is going to do. We've integrated with our enemies, which makes it very hard for us to communicate and get on code on anything. We allow the other people to take us off track. We allow them to distract us, spin the narrative, and we are just all over the place. Well, guess what? The price of freedom, there is a price for freedom. There has to be structure, and there has to be commitment, and there has to be a code that we need to follow for our community. Okay? Now, the other people have a code. They have a code. They have a code for their newscasts. They decide what the narrative's going to be. If they don't like your narrative, they change it. And we are so unfocused and uncentralized that we're taken all over the place wherever they want to lead us. So if we want to be free and control our own destiny, we really need to stay, number one, in code. We need to start listening to certain people and becoming one, thinking as one, not letting someone distract the narrative. Okay, I want you to have a pencil and paper because I'm going to name out some names. You probably have already been watching some of these people, and I'm sure there's more, but I've been listening recently to David Banner. And he did a very, very short video on how important it is for us to stay on code with one message. Now remember, we used to have our own communities, and we went to church, like in the civil rights movement. We went to churches, and our preachers, we had one message. And when we boycotted the bus with, what was her name? The bus, Rosa Parks. In those days, we mobilized our communities through our churches. And in this day and age, we're so all over the place. We're integrated. We don't have one voice. Some of us, we coon. We don't know which direction. We want to please our oppressors. We're afraid to say something because we're going to lose our job. Well, it wasn't like that back in the 60s when they were threatening us with dogs and hoses and all of that. It would be much harder for them to do it. We've got to get on code because all they do is they kill our kids, and we don't even have one voice to demonstrate against it. And when we get a voice, what we think might be a voice, we're letting other people do our work. And we're letting coons do our work. Okay? They actually pay some of us to change the narrative. Okay, so if we get on code and stay on one accord and don't let the others change the narrative or the direction of the movement, we might get something done. So one really good advice, I want you to write this name, David Banner. If you haven't been watching him, you need to start watching some of his videos. David Banner is one name I want you to write down. Another person I want you to write down is Cynthia G. Now she's very, very direct. She's an educated lady. She's a psychologist and she understands the psyche and the pathology of white people. She understands it and she has distanced herself, and you need to start watching some of her videos just to let you know what we're fighting against. If you're not familiar with Cynthia G, you need to get on to her as well. Um, let's see. So the first thing I did, the way I got into this YouTubing is, number one, my TV broke. And that's what I used to do. I would go to work, come home, eat, and watch TV. Now, I was always starved for news. I always wanted to know what was going on in the world. But the local and network channels, all they do is rehash and recirculate the same news over and over, and they want you to hear what they want you to hear. They don't really tell you about anything that's going on. They might tell you in their communities what is going on, but we don't know what's going on in our communities. We don't know who our leaders are because we have no way to connect with them. So, we're not white people. We are not white people. We're melanated people. We're foreigners in this land. Even though we were born here, we're so-called Americans. We don't have full American rights, and we don't have a justice system that protects us. We've got to get on code and stay with whatever message we want. Now, we're powerful, okay? You just have to stop and think. I want you to listen. You have to stop and think. I just hate to say black people because we're not black, okay? But so-called black people are trendsetters. We're powerful in that. You can rap music, slang, dress codes. They follow us. They follow us. Now, whether you know it or not, this NFL kneeling situation that's going on now, it's working. It is working, even though it's making the so-called white people stop watching it, but we're affecting that. And that's affecting these news networks, cities, counties, millionaires, the so-called white ones. Now might have to sacrifice a few players and a few, $1 million contracts, just a few for our nation. Now, I always tell you, start a business, get something of your own going. And I know it's not that easy, but if you think about it, it's very hard for us to even buy black, because there are really no black businesses. There's, we don't know where to find them. We don't have any central method to find them. So we've got to get real. We've got to get on code. We've got to get our own messaging. We've got to start buying our necessities from our own people. And we've got to research and find out where they are and who they are. And a good start is to stop watching TV. When I stopped watching TV, I got on my computer, and that was just in this past April in 2017. Okay? I just stopped watching TV. I started watching YouTube. I had no idea that we had such great minds in our young generations. Great minds. Great, powerful minds. We've got young people that are amassing their own businesses. We've got a lot going on in our community. We don't even know it. We don't even know it. Stop watching TV. If you don't have a computer, go to the library. Spend your time at the library and get on YouTube and watch David Banner. There's just so many of them. Watch some of the Israelite channels and start figuring out what's going on, because we're all over the place. We've got to move as one to affect change. Okay, we don't even know what we think. We don't know what our community thinks because we have no centralization. We did have a community, but they convinced us to integrate, and they broke up our communities. They put our men in prison, and we have nothing. Okay, but we have some great minds in our young people. We have some great educated young people that have figured this thing out, They figured the Bible out. They figured a lot of things out that we've been just going along on the okie doke. Now, back in the 50s and 60s, we were more together as a community because we were in our communities and our churches was our centralization points. So YouTube is going to have to be for now our centralization point. And if you can get on those YouTubes and make comments, you know, when you see a good video you like and you want to ask the purveyor of the video questions, get on there and ask the question. And he may not can answer you directly, but he can answer the question, or get onto his link and email him. That's the way we have to do it. Now, I don't usually do a video this long, but we've got to get serious here. Okay? Now, remember, we are trendsetters. So, I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place, but getting back to the NFL, we've affected this change. The NFL was starting to lose a lot of money, and a lot of us weren't watching the game, but a lot of the other nation wasn't watching the game because it made them mad. But, you know, it's going to be some upset. It's just going to be up to our players to stick with their guns, and I hope they do. But it's very important. It's very important for us to stick together and get one message. And our young people are smart enough not to let the message get redirected. Okay? They've been smart enough because now we're getting back on message, but we can't do any kind of movement unless we stay on point. And we can affect this nation and its laws if we have one mind. We got it. Just like the honeybees, they work as one unit. And that's what we've got to do it. So, like my friend Willie D said, no more talk. Oh, subscribe. Whenever you look at one of our videos, always push this, either the subscribe button or the like. And always leave a comment if you like the video or not. Leave a comment. Don't be afraid, you know, support. All right, and if you make a comment on this video, I promise you I will do my very best to get back with you within 6 hours, probably right away. But as soon as I can get back to you, I will always try to, you know, answer your comments. Okay? All right. Peace.